Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Connect to the world with the special Turkish Airlines fares. Book your flight before August 10th and take the advantage of great deals. Fly to the most exciting destinations with the award-winning airline that flies to more countries than any other. Terms and conditions apply. For more details, visit turkishairlines.com. Turkish Airlines. Widen your world.
Hi, Jordan.
Hi.
Hey, this is Sarah and Jordan, your host of the Silverwood Show podcast. And we are back for another week of absolute fun and
exciting new things.
Exciting new things.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about this episode. I thought we were just going to have one guest, but then I might have finagled my way into getting two guests today.
Turns out.
Turns out. Jordan's not super excited about it, but you're going to see here in just a minute when we introduce our guest of the week, David DaVinci, the Thrillusionist. How do you say that? Thrillusionist.
It's the Thrillusionist.
It's the Thrillusionist.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Just take my word for it. It's the Thrillusionist.
What Jordan said. And he's putting on not one, but two shows at the Theater of Illusion for the rest of the season. We've got Confusium.
Until Labor Day.
Until Labor Day.
Yes.
Yeah. Isn't that the rest of the season?
No, because we then weekends in September.
Oh, okay. Wait, isn't Labor Day the last weekend in September?
No, it's the first weekend in September. It's the first Monday in September.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Really? Okay,
You
I just
learned
learned something new. Anyway, but yeah, he's got two shows, one brand spanking new this week. And he's going to talk about that. He's going to talk about his family, his birds, and all the things that you have to look forward to here at the Theater of Illusion at Silverwood. So that's coming up in our big drop.
The Big Drop.
And we are back with this week's very special guest. And David, I'm already a big fan of you because
thank you.
You brought me your pet.
Yeah, we have two special guests.
We have two special guests. Yeah. So we have David DaVinci in the house. He is the magician here doing Confusium and the brand new Parrot FX. And you can catch him in the Theater of Illusion with his wife Jamie and his daughter Capri and his whole team of animal-loving humans, which is just amazing. But I also have...
Yeah, for those who can't see...
If you can't see, we have Icy here in the house. And David, tell me what kind of snake she is again.
So she's a ball python.
Yes.
And just a mix between a blue-eyed Lucy and what's called a Mojave. So
she's beautiful.
Yeah.
So she's just this ivory color, just stunning. And she's crawling all over me.
She's
and
all
I'm in
over,
heaven.
Sarah.
Yes. So if you hear distraction, you know why right off the bat. Jordan had a little surprise when he walked into the studio today. So,
well, she wanted one of your birds to come, and I said, they poop a lot.
Yeah, she comes out into the theater. She's like, all right, so Jordan said no birds.
but
let's get the snake.
Yeah.
I ask for forgiveness, not for permission. Jordan's learning
That's
this.
fine.
And so, So
it's fine.
Yes, because Icy doesn't poop. Well, Icy probably does poop, but, if it happens, I'll clean it up.
Learning a lot here on the Silverwood podcast.
Right.
We're off to a good start.
Educational.
We are off to a good start. But let's talk about David here. So Confusium, we've got that going. We've got Parrot FX that kicked off this week.
Yeah.
Kind of tell us a little background about yourself. I know some people might recognize you from 2012.
Yeah, so it actually goes way back. So I started my career in Spokane, Washington. Grew up there, born and raised. And then once I was 21, I hit the high seas, traveled all over the world. We've hit 6 continents. I stopped counting at 75 countries. I know that sounds pretentious, but like at some point you're like, I don't know.
I don't know anymore.
You're jet lagged. It doesn't matter. But we've been really blessed to be able to travel around and perform and do all this for many, many years. In fact, it even goes back further than 2012. In 2001, I was 17, and Shadle Park High School kicked me out because I was doing too many magic shows and missing too much school. So I came here and did 17 shows a week during that summer.
Nice.
And went off and competed, won a world championship. Was the youngest to win the gold medal in this competition for magic. thanks to getting to do so many shows here.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then North Central was like, yeah, you can come graduate here. And so I missed a lot of school at North Central, still doing my show. And
sorry, Shadle, you missed out. So
not sorry, Shadle.
no, not so much.
We got that rivalry anyway. So.
Yeah.
But and then have just been able to travel around performing. And in 2012, we had just come off of a 2-year tour with the Ringling Brothers Circus. And we were the headlining act to the Magic Show. We did all the lower 48 states. And each week we were in a different arena with 10 to 20,000 people. It was amazing. We performed for Rod Stewart, Shaquille O'Neal. It was such a whirlwind 2 years.
Wow.
And then came off of that tour and we got the call to come up here. So back then we did the Magic Show as well as the old version of Parrot FX.
Okay.
And so when this opportunity came up for this summer, it was a no-brainer for us to bring the birds, which is a passion, the magic is a passion, and I know we're going to dive into all that, but that's the cliff notes.
Very, very
So
nice.
when you say world champion,
Yeah, I kind of want to know that.
like what does
too.
that process look like? Where do you go? How does that decided?
It's like the nerdiest thing you could possibly imagine. It's like a bunch of magicians are socially awkward creatures, right? Like we don't become magicians because we have a really good social life. So we're like so a bunch of just these kids that I classify as I didn't really have a lot of friends. I know you're shocked. And so we all go to this annual meetup and we're like, who does the magic tricks better? And so I was honing my Dove act at the time and so the way the competitions work, people would come from all over the world. The specific one I won was the Pacific Rim magic competition. I forget the full name at the moment, but it was down in Portland, Oregon, and people from all the countries that in the world could come compete. And so at 17, I went on and we would have an 8-minute limit to the act. And so it could be music driven, it could be comedy, it could be, speaking, it could be whatever. And you'd have a stage and you'd kind of were in kind of a context of a variety show. So you'd have an MC and you're expected to be able to perform at a real world level. So your props would get wheeled on. Hopefully things didn't fall apart when they move the props on stage. And these are all part of the learning experience, right? And it really prepped you for the real world. And so the judges are other professional magicians, and they would judge you on stage presence. How well could you overcome mistakes? And so I would actually build mistakes in on purpose. Little stupid little things they have these things called a match pull. So you pull a match from under your lapel and it lights. Well, everybody does that. So I pulled it. It didn't light. So I pulled a second one and they're like, wow, that guy's really good. He was prepared. I'm like, no, I did that for the points. But yeah, so there are little games like that you could kind of figure out, and the professionals would look at that as wow, this guy's got experience. He's got the stagecraft, whatever it was. And then the manipulation with the birds and the magic had to have these they helped you structure the act of a strong opening and then congruent magic throughout the act, and then it closes with a crescendo. And so the Dove act that I do in Confusium very much started from that early day of competing. And this is kind of the third iteration of the act, but I've been doing this particular act my whole life, pretty much, it seems
Well, I can say this. The first time Jordan and I saw it, we just both looked at each other, and it was pick your jaw up off the floor. Seriously, we're like, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And then when we went the second time, and I was with, what are you looking at the snake?
Yeah.
With Shiloh, one of our entertainment managers. She also just mind blown, So
Well,
here we are in entertainment and seeing that and being that just mind blown. And that was just the kickoff.
Well, I appreciate
the kickoff.
Yeah, it was just the kickoff. We're like, okay, what are we in for here? So yeah, it was phenomenal.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So going back now to 2012.
Yeah.
Actually, let's go even further back to Ringling Brothers. And so how much did you learn from there that continues into your show that you see today?
Oh my gosh, tons. So when you are growing up in entertainment, you emulate your idols, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really difficult to step away from that. And what Ringling provided for me is first of all, we got to work with some of the best choreographers and the team that they assemble around you. Especially they're like, hey, we're going to build the show around your magic and your birds. And the whole tour was built around my wife and I. We're like, what? Totally mind blown. So you could imagine the team that came in to support us. And I think that's a really important thing. It's not just me patting myself on the back saying hey, cool, our show's good. I feel confident with the show, but the team is what made it happen, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so they came in and they would give me, I like to call it an index of moves, right? I'm not a dancer. I'm not I'm an entertainer who uses magic as the platform, but they brought in the team to fill in the rest. They brought me a vocal coach.
Cool.
They brought me all these different things. We had to learn different lifts and stuff, which we're still doing in some of the magic. And I'm not an acrobat, but we're doing stuff that acrobats would do. And so they brought the whole team together to help shape what our show could become. And they really took it to a whole nother level in showing us how to get there. But then they also supported it in a way that fueled the creative process for me to be able to become a unique entertainer. So my style is my style. And I can finally say that after 42 years. But that's a really hard thing. And anybody in entertainment for sure can relate to that, whether it's, in anything in life, really. We start by emulating. And then once you find that voice, it's helpful.
100%.
And you just move forward and truck forward. And you definitely have your style. I mean, and then you bring in all the animals. I mean, I've never, in all my years of seeing magic, and I love magic and I love illusion, but I've never seen a show with, so I'm super excited about Parrot FX.
Yeah, you haven't seen it.
So I haven't seen it yet. So it's
where did you start with like animals? Like where did that come from?
Yeah, so my parents had blue and gold macaw for most of my childhood life. Prior to that, I remember we had a budgie named Budgie. My parents weren't the best at naming. And we came back. I was 6 years old. We came back from Hawaii, and this budgie seemed to crave attention. And I need to be careful. Like with animals, we try not to like anthropomorphize or put human emotion to it, right? But for the lack of better words, he was excited that we came home. And he would put his foot on the side of the cage and he would do somersaults. And there was still a family debate. Did he do 99 or 100? But either way, he was stoked for us to be home. And we must have sat there for an hour while this bird did these stupid somersaults. It was the cutest thing. And they're such great birds. And the love and the passion for animals has been there my whole life. And it was 1994, and I saw a magician on TV by the name of Greg Fruin, which goes full circle back to Niagara Falls. We can talk about all that. But there was a show called World's Greatest Magic, and it came out every Wednesday night before Thanksgiving. And it was a 2-hour special. And they did this once a year for 5 years, and it was like the pinnacle of magic. Copperfield was huge. Lance Burton was headlining in Vegas. Chris Angel and David Blaine didn't exist yet, thankfully. And, there's some rivalry there, but it was like the best of the best. And so I saw a magician on TV use doves. And my parents at this point had a macaw. They had a Senegal parrot, and then the budgie unfortunately had passed by this point. And I had a box turtle, and I saw this magician do this dove act. And I'm like, oh my gosh! And I found a home for the turtle, and I got doves. And I haven't turned back. And it was like the passion there for sure happened. And then once I won the gold medal, that convention hires the winner back as a closing act for the next year. And I'm like, cool, I got to do something bigger and better. And so I was like, okay, well maybe I'll use my parents' blue and gold, and I'll vanish the doves, and then I'll produce the macaw. Well, it turns out, if you don't know anything about training a parrot, they are mean. And so I bought a book. It was all written in scientific language that nobody could understand. And we pieced it together. And finally, I was like, okay, I can teach this bird a card trick. And I'll reveal the secrets here, all right? We would put a really big dot about the size of a silver dollar on the back of a playing card. And you train the bird to pick up the card with the dot. And you add a second, a third card until like you could put a handful of cards out, and he'd always pick the one with a really big obvious dot.
Interesting.
And then you made the dot a little bit smaller, a little bit smaller, a little bit smaller, and then eventually basically invisible. In hindsight, I would have just used a UV marker because they can see in the ultraviolet spectrum and we can't. So which we actually use that in Parrot FX to our advantage. They'll fly in and off stage into blacklight, which we can't see, so it looks dark, but it's like lit up like a Christmas tree back there for them. So there's little things like that play into the science of in the of the training. But so anyway, I trained this blue and gold macaw to find the dot on the back of a playing card, and in the process, I'm like, holy cow, he's nice. And so I thought, well, how about I just film the whole process and sell it to PetSmart? Well, I haven't sold it to PetSmart, but we have almost 500,000 YouTube subscribers now that follow this. And Bird Tricks was kind of born in that moment, which is our whole bird training business outside of what we do in the magic world. And I kind of recognized that you had to become a professional bird trainer if you had the stakes. He's totally snorted in the mic. I see his tongue's like about to lick your elbow. And she's like,
that would have might have got me because I would have like, what is
it? It was like, Sarah, don't laugh, Sarah, don't laugh. Don't snort.
Oh man, I could just see the anticipation of like, don't say anything.
Oh my gosh!
All right, I hope you guys are watching this on YouTube.
That
was a great moment. But yeah, so I realized you had to become a professional parrot trainer if you wanted a chance to get these birds into a show. And so that's where all that kind of started and evolved. And what I really did from a young age was kind of decode what the scientific language was and put it into like real world use
Yeah.
so that we could take the science of operant conditioning or parrot training or animal behavior and make it usable and like kind of package it in ways that a normal human could look at this and it's like, nobody wants to know what the antecedent to the preconceived condition was based on the operant principles. Like,
All those things you just said.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was like
yeah.
I spaced out right there.
Right. And so I'm like, the bird does the right thing, give it a treat, right? And we simplified it as much as we could, and there's a lot to it and a ton of science that goes into it. But you know, where you have these birds on stage with pyrotechnics, and going back to ringling days, we would have explosions.
Oh, wow.
I would appear with sparks flying all around me.
Yeah.
The birds have to fly through arenas while elephants are coming out. I would hang upside down in a straitjacket
Oh my
over
gosh,
lions. Like,
yeah. Wow.
all this stuff's happening, and these birds are expected to perform at 100% level every single day.
Without those distractions.
And the key to it is that if they don't want to perform, they don't perform.
Right.
And you know, in the industry, they say, don't ever work with animals or kids. And I'm like, cool, I'm putting my kid in the show and I'm going to bring in like 10 parrets.
I'm going to do all the things you told me not to do.
I love the challenge, and it keeps it from ever becoming monotonous. As Jordan is like,
I don't think I'm flexible enough to reach around
oh
and
my
grab
gosh, that's hilarious.
Okay. Keep talking, boys.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
So it just continued to evolve. And the amazing thing with these birds too is that like occasionally we'd have a mishap where the bird would take flight. And so we would have Tusa specifically, one of my Camelot macaws. There would be occasionally a missed cue on stage in the arena, and about once a year he'd fly to the top of the arena, and it's like 300 feet up,
wow.
and there's 20,000 people.
Yeah.
So I'd go backstage, I'd change out of my costume, right? So I'm going from like gold sequins and like fancy circus costume to like shorts and a t-shirt. And then I'd come back out to the arena, and he would see me out of 20,000 people and fly to me, even though it's not wearing the same thing.
That's
that I
crazy.
Yeah, and so we started to recognize, like, oh my gosh, the intelligence that they have is absurd. And as humans, you know, we can measure that, and I say in parrot effects too. Science has really proven recently in the last couple of decades that African greys specifically have been the key study of this, have the cognitive ability of a 5-year-old child. They understand life, they can understand death, they can understand requests. I don't like the term command because I never command my birds to do something, but I ask them, and if they want to do it, they can do it.
Sure.
And so we want to set the conditions up so that they choose to want to do it.
I love
And
that.
with all the different types of motivators, you know, food is definitely a strong one, but it's not as much of a key as I think people perceive. You know, I think the common perception is like, oh, the animal must be starving to do that. Like, no. The Bondi, like my galah or rose-breasted cockatoo, depending on Australians, they're galahs. Up here, we call them rose-breasted cockatoos. She would rather get applause than a treat. And we did this
Words
on our
of affirmation.
Love language.
And so and then speaking on that, like, one of the other ones would prefer quality time, right?
Yeah.
And some of the others prefer food. So
Yeah.
I think that's a really common misconception I want to nip in the bud now is like, it's not based on hunger.
Yeah.
You know, it would be the equivalent of like, we could all eat and then probably have dessert. And we're giving the equivalent of what would be a dessert, a healthy form, but in the proper measurements.
Yeah.
But our birds are, you know, obviously we had a lot of conversation beforehand, how they're our family. They're not just our pets. They really are family. And we take care of them like they're little athletes, and they seem to really thrive in environments where they are able to use their brains, and so we provide it through the shows.
I also love that you free fly them.
Oh my gosh,
That
it's so fun.
is just the most incredible thing. So for those listening, I was stalking his wife's Instagram, and you go ahead and drop that.
Yeah, at Bird Tricks Official.
Bird Tricks Official.
You could totally tell I was like,
yeah. I'm gonna do it. And you could just fall into the rabbit hole of all of these incredible birds that he's bringing into Parrot FX. And I had to go figure out what their names were last night,
you know
of
all the
course.
names.
So I'm working on it. I can't tell the macaws apart quite yet, but I do know that one is Jinx, and I'm really excited to figure out which one that is because I feel like that's my favorite.
Yeah, I'm surprised Zip's not your favorite.
Well, Jinx, I like the whole Jinx doesn't like men thing.
Yeah.
So
Well, on that note, Zip's missing part of a toe. So just saying.
so maybe because I was showing him
exactly.
the missing finger.
Yeah.
But
something in common.
Yeah, something in common.
And the toe, actually, just for clarification, that happens sometimes in the nest, and that's what happened with this particular bird. So
Interesting.
Really?
yeah, sometimes the
Very
parents are like, "Hey, get out!" Right? Can you imagine if it was like that in real life
No.
with humans?
I mean, it can be. I think in some cases, but
Sometimes.
Sarah's like, "That's why I left home at 18."
Yeah, right.
I'm here.
Wait, that doesn't happen?
Holding a snake at a theme park. They did call me Carney as a kid.
Oh, wow.
That's
I know,
funny.
because of the finger. But anyway, do you want to talk about your birds a little bit?
Sure,
Tell us a little
sure.
bit about the birds and
Yeah,
who
what
you're bringing
birds
to
do you
the table.
have in Parrot FX?
Yeah. So in Parrot FX, we have a duck, a call duck. By the way, if you fall down the Instagram rabbit hole, like just look up call ducks. They are the cutest
They're
dang thing.
super cute.
They're like a fat pigeon. As far as their body size, they're about the thickness of a pigeon, but they're little ducks and they're adorable. So we have Michael Quaxon. That's the duck.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited to meet Michael Quaxon.
He's super cute, and so he's in the show. We have Althea, who's a blue-throated macaw, and then I'm trying to like picture the show in my head. We have Tusa and Comet. They're the Camelot macaws.
Okay.
And then we have Bondi, our galah, and Cressy, the African gray, and we have Icy. She's in the show, the snake. And I might be leaving somebody out of it, but we've got a handful of parrots.
What are the cute little ones?
Oh, the conure. Yeah, Lily.
Yeah.
Lily's in there. We have Phoebe and Lily. They're both
Yes,
sun conures.
Phoebe.
And this kind of goes back to the earlier statement of like, I don't want to command my birds to do anything. Phoebe didn't want to do the show, so she's not written into the show. She's happy to live at Silverwood.
Yeah, she just hangs out.
Just watching the people in the water park, watching the people in the field.
And just watching anybody that walks by because it was like, give me attention,
Yeah.
give me attention. And I'm trying to keep my like distance because obviously Jordan wanted me to behave. And so I'm back there with my arms crossed, like just, hey, pretty bird.
That's totally not true. I saw photos that you took.
I was
of the
gonna
birds.
say,
Like,
did.
I've
you were
seen
close
all
enough
those
to not see
photos
the cage
too.
bars.
It was 5. It was the 5 Zoom. Thank you very much. So yeah. It was. I swear it was. I was behaving.
We've
Ask
got
Jay.
you on the
Jay
trail
was there.
cameras.
Jay was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
He gives a thumbs up.
Yeah.
That
yeah.
you were close.
I was not.
Just a little bit.
I can't help it. I'm just drawn to them. And
Yeah.
so I understand. It's just to be drawn to those kind of creatures. And they are. They look you in the eye. And it's like they understand.
It's
everything.
really cool. I've
Yeah.
been very blessed to get to work with some incredible animals, and outside of this show, I got to work with a tiger that was rescued, and she was the coolest cat. And she would. This is the sad part of zoos. This particular zoo, it's a different country. They would breed the tigers, and they would use the cubs to draw people in. But baby tigers grow up, and there's not always space for them.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of solutions for that.
Yeah.
And so a friend of mine adopted this cat and was like, all right, I'm going to put her in the show. And he had lots of tigers in the show already. And so this goes back to Greg Fruin, kind of full circle.
Yeah.
And he's up in Niagara Falls, Canada. And he builds a lot of my illusions now. We're friends. And I go up and I do the show. If he can't be there, I go up and fill in. And so I'm there to do like a 6-week contract with this brand new tiger. And so we take the tiger out and we're walking the tiger and working with her and training her. And I swear, she would look through your eyes into your soul. And I believe to my core that she knew that he saved her life and that humans saved her life. It was really
100%.
unbelievable. And I've worked with other tigers that wanted to eat you, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just different. There's like a different
Yeah.
approach. Your hands
Yeah.
off, and there's
Yeah.
no, there's no contact in those. But this one, we would walk her on a leash. We would work with her. She was super, as far as like the best comparison being like a dog. Like she was super affectionate and friendly, like a dog could be.
Do tigers
Obviously
purr?
different. Yeah, and they purr and they have like this chuff. It's like. And if they recognize you, and it's almost like an affection. If you hear that, it's a better sign than roaring, right? Like,
You're not going to get eaten today.
Well, the chances are less.
Okay, yeah.
But it's like that. We rescue birds, and my wife and I have a nonprofit called Project Parrots. It's a 501c3 where we basically bring on project birds or unwanted birds, and we have to do it in incredible moderation. But we are very successful at finding forever homes for them because we are so particular about which ones we take in, what the cases are, and what that looks like. And those are the ones that they look into your soul. They really do. I drew the analogy with the tiger, but you're correct. I think that they really know. And Zip is one of these. She was a rescue, the blue throat with the part of the missing toe.
Yeah.
And she was a rescue. She was a foster fail where she actually gets along great with our blue throat Jinx.
Yeah.
And she almost kind of like levels him out a little bit. It makes him a little bit more nice, a little bit more not nice isn't the right word, but just
Yin
makes
and
him.
yang.
Yeah, it kind of balances him out, and so he's less moody. We'll put it that way. Yeah, so she's been a lot of fun, and that story was great. We self-produced a TV show back in 2011 called One Day Miracles, where we'd go into people's houses and we would film the process of working with a bird just over one day, and we were trying to find some form of measurable success, whether it was diet conversion, which birds are generally on terrible diets in captivity. So diet conversion or learning a behavior or whatever these things were. And so this one lady had these 2 blue throats, and her dream was to free fly them with us.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, her husband and her got in a car accident. Her husband passed, And so she has these 2 blue throats, and she had some health complications. She's doing better now. But it was enough that she's like, I can't keep these birds.
Yeah.
And so we put Zoom, it was Zip and Zoom. So Zoom went to a free flight home.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of clients that we take our birds outside and we fly them in different locations. Yeah. And Zip came to us as a project bird and then ended up staying. And the cool thing is that she's going to come out and join us on a free flight trip and get to see them both free fly.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh. Okay. And I love how your face lights up when
That's
you talk
super
about
cool.
that. Like your eyes just went immediate sparkle. And
and like I'm a little bit teared up for it. You know, it's like
Yeah.
it's just so cool to be able to give that not only to the birds but to the people that are like so physically, emotionally, and mentally and financially invested in these birds too. You know, they're not cheap. You don't they're you know the sticker price to purchase one is nothing.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much more that goes into it. Just the care, the toys, and you know, and which is why we have Bird Tricks. We sell consumables and we sell training. So
Right.
Exactly. But by the way, go ahead and drop that if anyone is interested.
Yeah, those of you guys
know.
interested in learning a little bit more, one of the best resources for us is you can go to youtube.com/birdtricks or Instagram is at birdtricksofficial.
Yeah.
And our actual website is just birdtricks.com. We have tons of resources. If you have parrots, you like parrots, you think about wanting to get a parrot, our goal is to talk you out of buying a parrot. Believe it or not. Terrible business model.
Yeah.
But if we can talk you out of it, you shouldn't have had one.
Yeah.
If we can't talk you out of it, we will be your best resource. And we have an incredible team worldwide. We've flown down to Australia for training. We've gone all over. We were talking about working too much. We booked a tour in Australia, and we had 6 weeks to tour, and we were doing 2 4-hour classes a day, and it was all like hands-on masterclass stuff with people's birds. And so my wife's like, let's just open up all the days, and we did the entire every major city except for West Coast is Perth, but we did Brisbane, Melbourne, Adelaide. I see like all the big places.
Yeah.
And well, we didn't get a day off in 6 weeks.
Oh my
We ended up
gosh.
selling out all of Australia for all of our classes.
Wow.
So he's ready for what we're about to put him through.
I know.
I was like, this is nothing then.
This is nothing in comparison.
I'm like, I can do 47 days.
Absolutely, no
Yeah.
problems whatsoever. Okay, Jordan, you got to ask the next question because
You can fix it.
I gotta fix the snake.
Well, going back to 2012, you're here.
Yeah.
Parrot Effects. Talk to me about that show and what people could expect compared to like what today's show might look like.
Yeah. So, you know, our goal in the bird training company is that hopefully the information we give is expired in 2 years, meaning we're constantly trying to push the envelope. We're trying to learn more, and we're trying to do better by the birds and the people and everybody whose lives are impacted by these pet parrots. And so very much the animals in our show are our pets, they're our family. And we have learned so much more about the consistency of there's different ways to train for allowing them to have we call them antecedents, but setting up the conditions so that they want to do the show more consistently. Because that's, I mean, whether you're working with kids or animals or dancers, like there's going to be inconsistencies. And we've gotten much better at making those inconsistencies fewer over the last 12, 13 years. But as far as like what people can expect, it's just a theatrical show. So I'll give you a little backstory. When we had done the 2-year tour with Ringling, I was so burned out.
Yeah.
You know, we were driving separately, trucks and trailers, and we would have like we did a show in Coney Island, and then the next one we were down in Biloxi, Mississippi. Well, that's about 1,000 miles we had to cover in a day and a half, and then be up at 3:30 a.m. for 5 a.m. TV.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just we were so burned out that I was like, that's it. I'm done with magic. I'm going to just sideline it for a bit. And so we approached Silver and we're like, well, let's do a bird show. And then, you know, I ended up doing the magic show on Nick's days off.
Yeah.
And so it ended up kind of like, it was perfect. I was able to get pulled back in the magic and refine the passion. But I was like, what would the show look like if the birds did the magic? I don't want to be the center of attention. I want the birds to do it. So within as much possibility as we could for the structure of how my entertainment style is, the birds largely present a lot of it. And if you notice in Parrot Effects, I don't introduce myself. I don't introduce anybody in the show. It's the birds. I come out, it's like, hey, welcome to Parrot Effects. It's not like, hey, I'm Dave. Like, it's enjoy the birds.
Yeah.
And I really like that about it because it's a little bit of a mental reprieve for me. The pressure's not on me as a performer. I mean, it is, but it's not. I'm not carrying the whole show. The birds are, and I'm facilitating an ability for them to do that. And it's theatrical. We brought in addition to the lights that Silverwood already has. I came in. I was like, hey, let's hire my friend from Spokane who does all the concerts, and I'm going to bring in all of my lights too. And I sent a picture to
lots of lights.
I sent a picture to some of the management, and I can't tell you what was said in the text because it was so like over the top. Holy cow, this is amazing. That it was like it's as much a light show as it is a bird show and just effects. It's really
beautiful.
That's really
it's
cool.
neat. And the birds are flying over the audience too, right? And so the neat thing about this is that when I was a child, and I talk about this a little bit in the show, I never saw birds fly. The blue and gold that my parents had, it just sat on top of his cage and looked pretty. And it wasn't until I was in Las Vegas it's no longer there, but they had Caesar's Magical Empire, and it was this amazing dinner show where you'd go around and it was magic, but dinner as well.
Yeah.
And one of the characters in part of the whole journey experience had a blue and gold macaw fly over their heads and land on them. And I'm like, what? They can fly?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I know that's a novel idea, but you don't really think about it until you see it. You're like, oh my gosh, I've never seen one of these pets fly. And so we really wanted to incorporate that in a lot of different ways where people get to be close, whether you're holding the hula hoop and an African gray flies through it, or you're sitting in the chair on stage and the bird flies in and you're getting to take that video home, or you're just in the audience. Some of our birds like to go down real close and kind of buzz the audience's heads. We talked about different reinforcements, and it's not necessarily a pine nut at the end of the flight.
Yeah.
It's the reaction that they get from buzzing people's heads.
Love it.
We'd performed overseas in Saipan, and we had Japanese audiences at 7 o'clock, and we had Korean and Russian audiences at 9 o'clock, and we would do this 12 shows a week. And the 7 o'clock show, the Japanese audience is very reserved, right? And they don't clap during the show because it's a sign of disrespect.
Okay.
Which this was weird as an entertainer to figure that out,
Yeah.
right?
How do you react to that? Yeah.
And so we'd always laugh, like, once we understood the cultural difference, we'd laugh because the ending, we just did all this amazing magic. We had 2 tigers in that show and like 6 dancers. It was a huge show, lots of parrots. And the thing that got the applause was a confetti going off at the end. And we're like, let's just bring out more confetti.
Right? Confetti.
But it was that marking the end of the show, and that audience would like, they were so contained that they would burst, right? And the applause was insane when it was culturally appropriate to do so.
Yeah.
And then the other one was just wild. The South Koreans and the Russians together was like, that was a wild show.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
It was so polar opposite.
Yeah.
Which is neat to experience too.
Yeah.
But the reason I'll bring all this back is that this was like at the height of bird flu, and our show was full of birds. And so the Japanese culture would show up in masks oftentimes, and they were somewhat afraid of the birds. Well, Bondi, my galah, she would appear, and then she would dive down over the audience, and she kept getting closer and closer. And then she'd go up to the back and go into a little 1 by 1 foot hole, and then she would be reinforced there.
Yeah.
And she found that it was more reinforcing to dive bomb the audience. Right? And so the Japanese audience would react very over the top.
Yeah.
And so would the 9 o'clock audience, right? But then what she figured out is if she landed on the stage, she'd put out her wings, her crest would go up, and she'd run towards the front row and scream. We had somebody fall out of their chair.
Oh my gosh.
There's no reinforcement greater than that.
Yeah.
And
I can attest to that, being a Scarywood haunt
I was gonna
actor.
say,
Like,
Jordan
that's my
appreciates-
favorite too.
Yeah. And so to solve it, we ended up having, of all the different dancers, we would have them roll a dice. Whatever number was pulled, that person would pick, we'd make Bondi appear, and she would come get the bird.
Oh my God.
And they had to be that they call it variable reinforcement. We had to have different dancers come out. And so she was excited by who was going to be there.
Yeah.
And that, it was like, they had to be there at the right timing to not scare the people literally out of their seats.
Oh my god.
That is so funny.
But,
And that's what I pictured. When you said that, I pictured Jordan as a bird, like running out and jump scaring, which is what he did yesterday when I was over there flirting with
That's
your birds.
true. I did scare you.
He used that as an opportunity to take advantage and try to scare me to death.
It's fair.
So, yeah.
That's fair. Scarywood doesn't start till October. All
It's
right.
year round, actually. Little do you
Jordan,
know.
in Jordan's world, it is.
I did see your desk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all
You
the
go
bloody
into his
masks.
office, there's like heads on
Yeah,
the desk.
well-
You're like, what? Yeah, it's past employees. It's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's like,
This is what happens if you do not behave when you ask for forgiveness and not
fear.
permission.
Yeah.
Be afraid.
that's it.
Be
There's
afraid.
just a tip
Yeah,
of a
just
finger.
wait.
Just wait. Just wait. Yeah, that's where this actually went. You guys don't know. Okay, I do want to talk about your wife and your daughter.
Yeah.
And the first time I got to see Confusium and seeing the children react to Capri.
Yeah.
She is such a light on that stage.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about how long she's been performing and a little bit about her.
Yeah. So this is interesting. So my wife and I, we just celebrated 21 years of marriage. And,
Congratulations.
thank you. And that was July 10th. Then we got the call July 12th to be here. So we're like, okay.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, I was returning my tux actually when we went back to Rose Harbor where we got married, and we redid our favorite photos. And
That's awesome.
anyway, but little insight. 13 years ago, we decided we wanted a child when we were working here, and so it's kind of cool for Capri to get to be here for real this time. And so she's 12 if you guys do the math on that one. And she grew up kind of like, we raised her the first 4 years of her life was on a cruise ship. And we were very careful. Like, we'd be home maybe 2 weeks a year, and we were very careful to not call our house home But that first 4 years, she didn't know any different, right? And so the ship was home. And anytime we go back home to resupply, we're like, hey, we're going to the house. You know, it was never home. It was the house. And the ship became home. And it was really cool for her to grow up in an environment where anything was possible. If you wanted to be an acrobat, a singer, a piano player, a dancer, if you want to levitate, like the world was so open. And it was not that she has to be in entertainment. Obviously, I encourage her to figure out what she wants. And currently she wants to be a marine biologist. But we asked her actually on our anniversary trip, I was like, just what fulfills you? And I'm thinking gymnastics. And she thought long and hard about it. She said, hanging out with you guys, hanging out with my friends, and performing. And I was like, what? And then, of course, this contract comes up right after that. And I'm like, this is great. She's signed up for 7 days a week as well. And so, you know, she'll miss a little bit of school, which she's following my footsteps there. And you know, it's the education, in my opinion, doesn't have to come strictly from a formal environment. And we're very hands-on parents about that and teaching her things. Like her school is doing Mount Rushmore, and we're like, let's just drive by Mount Rushmore on the way home from performing at this arena in Indiana.
There you go. Exactly.
And so we see the real thing.
Life experience.
And,
exactly.
And it was so cold, her Polaroid camera didn't work. But anyway, so she loves being part of the show, and it's really rewarding to watch her just like embrace it in a way that we never expected.
Yeah. And I think she's inspiring other children to realize, you know, I can do that.
She gets such a big applause when, especially in Confusium, when she appears right off the bat.
Yeah,
like that applause, like amazing,
unlike anything I've ever heard.
But then the next time she comes out for the next illusion that she's in, it's that applause is still remains for her. Yeah. So I think it's pretty unique and cool.
And it's funny, she gets the psychology of it too, right? Like she's around all this all the time.
Right.
And we'll play little, because of the bird training background, like there's a lot of psychology like games we'll play with each other, and like getting Eleanor, who's kind of our understudy for the parrot training, and she's in Parrot Effects, and her bird, she's one of our trainers through our bird company. We call her Skippy because she injured herself skipping, and it's a long story short, you can call her Skippy. But
good to know.
I got a 5-pound tub of peanut butter, and I wanted to make sure that during our White Elephant gift exchange, she got the 5-pound bucket of peanut butter, Skippy peanut butter, right? And so I wrapped it in macaw wrapping paper, and of course, hook, line, and sinker. She picks that present, stuck with it, right? So we play these games, but Capri comes up to me and she's like, "Dad, make sure you get a boy for the trick in Parrot Effects. We do a magic trick with some animal flashcards and stuff. I don't want to reveal too much, but at the end, there's a moment where the kid can take a photo with Icy, and I'm like, the kids are going to be afraid. She's like, "No, Dad, pick a boy between 6 and 8 because I'm 12. If I'm holding the snake, they're going to be they're not going to say no."
Preoccupied with yes.
Right? She's like, they got to man up basically, and they're going to hold the snake.
Girl.
Yeah.
And of course, like being a girl dad, I'm more drawn towards picking girls because I know how to work with them better and like on stage than I do a boy. I don't have a boy, right? And so, of course, I get a girl on the show, and it was the funniest moment. I'll have to show you guys the video because in the beginning, she's her favorite animal. She talks about that, and then the snake appears. And I had already asked her, "You afraid of any animals?" She's like, "No." Like, want to picture the snake? It was the hardest no ever.
Oh, you said animals.
Yeah. And it was so cute, and I love those moments. Whether it goes our way or it goes kind of opposite of what we were hoping for, there's so many ways to like harness those moments and embrace it. And so there's this great opportunity where she's about 6 or 8 feet away from us, just kind of waving for the camera for a photo. He just wouldn't get any closer. But also, like, what a cool experience!
Icy.
What a cool experience for her. And anyway, back to your main question with Capri. Like, it's really fun for her to see that psychology in that game and how we can kind of use it to enhance the show. Really,
Well, she does. She enhances the show.
So a little story about Capri. So after the first show of Confusium back, you asked like that maybe we could get Capri one of the Cosmos Cantina drinks, right?
Yeah.
So I took her back there and I got her a drink. I was like asking her some questions about how old she is. I was like, "So how long have you been in the shows?" And she's like, "Since I was 18 months." I was like, "Okay, you are a professional."
Yes. And just with pure confidence.
Oh yeah,
she's
That's funny.
a phenomenal young lady.
Well, thank you.
So and she really does. It's I like watching the crowd. That's one of my favorite things. And so to stand there on the side and to see the reactions from the crowd, and honestly to see those little girls that are looking at your little girl thinking, this is something
I could do this.
Know?
Yeah,
there's
it's
a lot
super
of
cool.
inspiration there.
We're doing origami and Confusium, which is by the sound of it, she gets folded up and unfolded, and it's a cool piece. And the ending, the music's like really, it's a very choreographically driven routine. At the end, she throws a high kick in there, and I was like, what the hell? I'm reviewing the video, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, that was perfect. That looked great. And she's like, you like that? I'm going to keep it in. I'm like, cool. Yeah.
That's
It
amazing.
enhanced. It was great.
Yeah.
And it's so neat to be able to have a platform where we can give her that creative freedom. And she, if it's not good, we show her the video. We film every show. And so I'll let her watch the video and come to the conclusion, ooh, that didn't look that good. I got to fix my toe here. And I'm like, cool. This is, I love it. I want to like fuel it as much as I can.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. I mean, like athletes, you're always watching film. So I'm sure that helps you, especially with just like how each show's different, but also each show's different. And you're like, that worked. Maybe that didn't work. How can we use that and incorporate that into the show? So how does your show progress like throughout a season?
It progresses through mistakes. I'll give a great example of one that I'm debating keeping in, and you guys will know in the next week if I'm going to keep it in.
Okay.
So when we first came in, I was like, hey, the trick with the bunny, we should have the bunny pee 3 times. In the series of 3, this would be funny. And so I talked with Jordan, we figured this out. We're like, cool, this, and like finding the things we had to do to make this work was great. And I'm like, so I'm like having a lot of fun with it. I produced the bunny and he pees all over the front row. And then without skipping a beat, I point the bunny at the little girl on stage. And so half the time she flinches and like ducks. Yeah. And I'm like she's going to get peed on, right? Well, one of the shows at the end, it's a lot to handle. And the bunny's kind of kicking sometimes. And I drop the gimmick that makes make it look like the bunny pee.
Yeah.
And it bounces in slow motion down the front steps. And it must have bounced 18 times on each step as it slowly worked its way all the way down to the front. And I was like, oh man, I dropped the pee gimmick. And then the audience kind of like chuckled. And I was like, come on, guys, it took me a long time to fill that with pee. And then I did it a second show and it got an even better laugh. And I'm finding the timing. Like I was just trying to cover a mistake with humor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's going to stay in.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of these shows. And then when you're doing 3 shows a day, you get better through messing up.
Yeah.
And I joke on the headset, I'm talking to the crew half the show. Just like at first it was giving cues and then it's like kind of self-deprecating humor.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that was awful. Oh, make a note that Dave should do that and suck less. And so we had, oh man, I lost my train of thought on that. Oh no, so I was saying like every time I make a little mistake that I notice, right? Like, oh my gosh, I rolled my ankle so hard in one of the early shows. I watched the video back. It looks like I broke it. And the audience like reacted.
Ooh.
And I'm like, we should put this into a demo reel of all the fails throughout the entire season.
Right.
Just, I messed this up, I messed this up, I messed this up. Because 1, I think it keeps everybody humble. But 2, it's funny.
Slapstick is funny.
There's great moments, and there's stuff I've kept in the show over the years that the audience is like given a line that I'm like, oh, that's better than what I was doing previously.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it evolves, and it's if you saw at the beginning of the season, come back because it's going to continue to evolve.
Different.
Yeah.
Every day is different.
Talk about quickly, probably before we end this, is just the mass chaos it took from you kind of coming in to first show. Because like there was a lot that happened within that to get that first show up and running.
Which show?
The Confusium. Let's start with Confusium.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give a little bit of the cliff notes here. There's first of all, I don't think there's any way to really quantify what went into it. And I mentioned earlier the team. This team is, and I'm not just saying this. I've been saying this the entire time. This entire team has been the absolute best team I've ever worked with, and this goes from if you look at a hierarchy, and I don't mean it in derogatory, but if you start with like kind of the lowest of the totem pole to the highest, everything from upper management to the janitors, or however we want to look at that. Again, I don't mean any offense in that. The entire team, there's not a single person that's been a loose end or a heavyweight. It's taken the entire team. It's been the best team I've ever worked with in my entire life.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And because of that, we were able to pull off dang near a miracle.
Yeah.
I got a call on a Saturday saying, can you do the rest of the season? And I said, well, how soon do you need me to start? And Michelle says, can you come in tomorrow? And I was like, okay. So we load in the next day, and I had just come back from my anniversary trip.
Yeah.
So we load in Sunday, we did the lighting Monday, and then opened on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then we were going 7 days a week. I did one of the agreements. I was like, hey, I do have a contract in Niagara Falls, Canada, which is like a 12-hour trip to get to, no matter, like, there's no direct flights. I was like, I have this I can't get out of, but if we can work around that, which we found some ways, I'm like, aside from that, I can do 7 days a week, 3 shows a day. And then, let's put in the bird show. Let's do this. And we kind of came up with a structure. And it's literally taken the entire team thinking around the clock and working around the clock. And the production stuff's really interesting. All of the shows are in my head.
Yeah.
But then it's like, how do I translate that so the team sees the vision?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's really difficult. But again, this is the best team and they're seeing the vision. And I think it was more difficult with Parrot FX because that type of show doesn't exist. It's never existed.
Right.
We did it once 13 years ago. I guess I should get that number straight. So we did it once 13 years ago for a season. But other than that, like this type of show just doesn't exist. And so trying to put together a magic show, it's like, oh, okay, if we don't know, let's just put the prop center stage. Cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, this is like, well, which bird's flying in? And we had to choreograph. There's no crossover backstage. So the direction of which birds fly in and where they go after they're on stage and where the crew goes and where people enter and exit, that's as choreographed as the entire magic show.
Yeah,
and just trying to figure out like where all that is. It's just it's an unbelievable amount of work. And if we do our jobs right, nobody should have any idea that it took any effort.
Yeah. I'm
And
so
it's
excited
excellent.
to see it.
Yes.
I'm so excited to see it. So yeah, I won't lollygag out at the cages.
Yeah.
I'll actually come into the show next time and actually watch it.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
it's not even I shouldn't say that. That is not the correct word because he's got a beautiful aviary built for these.
Yeah, that
wonderful
aviary
birds.
costs more than my vehicle.
Yes, it is absolutely
it's amazing.
incredible,
It's
and
a-
they are
it's a
so
mansion.
happy.
Yeah. No,
I've
it's
never
super
seen
cool.
such happy birds before in my life.
I
So.
Well,
appreciate
and maybe before we wrap, we
Yeah.
talk about not only your birds, but you have a passion for flying in itself.
Oh my
so
gosh,
like, what do
can
you what do we
we-
do?
Flying.
What do you do? I mean, I seen your license plate. Like, what
Yeah.
you're-
Yeah. So
You are a bird, right?
I am so fascinated by flight that 10 years ago I decided to get into skydiving. Now I'm terrified of heights, still am, but I didn't like that I was afraid of it. And one of the things that I like about fear is that when you have a better understanding of the thing you're afraid of, be it a snake, be it being on stage, flying an aircraft, which I've got about 100 hours on a 182. I would much rather jump out of them, but but when you understand what it is and how these things work, you can work with your fear. And I don't want to say overcome it because I think this is where as a skydiver, if you overcome fear, you become a little bit complacent and reckless, and that's where
Right.
people get injured.
Yeah.
healthy respect.
Yeah, there's a healthy respect, and there's the common theme I think with most skydivers is there's a unique relationship with fear. And so yeah, I got into skydiving, and you have to have 200 skydives before you can get into wingsuiting. And so I wingsuit a ton. I was actually trying to get a plan to go jump a couple times on Saturday morning before coming in for shows. But I have some friends with planes and Sandpoint and stuff, so I'll jump up there frequently. And in June, I got to go just north of Lake Chelan in Stehekin is the little area.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And so they would take us in a helicopter, and we'd exit on the backside of the mountain and from the helicopter, and then we'd wingsuit about 2.5 miles to where we're going to land. But we'd have to clear the peak of the mountain. And then you have to, once you're past the mountain, you need to have a healthy respect for the terrain.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of these guys that you see on YouTube that the difference between skydiving and base jump, there's a big difference. Base jumpers and proximity flying, they're going between the trees, and those guys don't live very long. And unfortunately,
No,
I've lost friends to that.
Yeah.
And I have I see the appeal, but I have no desire to do it. Where skydiving, we're opening above 2,500 feet.
Yeah.
We have 2 parachutes. If one doesn't work, we have a backup. Like there's huge margins of safety, and it's not as reckless as it sounds. But yeah, I got into it when my daughter was about 2 years old. Sold the motorcycle because it was too dangerous. I'm like, let's get into wingsuiting and skydiving. And so,
Well, you explain for any audience that might not know what a wingsuit is.
a wingsuit, it looks like a flying squirrel.
Yes,
So we can instead of just skydiving straight down at 140 miles an hour, we have extra fabric on, and it inflates. Kind of comparable. The best analogy I've been able to give is picture yourself inside of an inflatable mattress.
Okay.
It has a certain amount of it's like ram air, so the forward speed converts into pressure in the wing, and you can actually get lift. You can actually go back up with enough speed, and then you stall, and you have to change. Your aerodynamics change.
Yeah.
But so we control our descent rate. We fall at about 40 miles an hour, but it's converted to forward speed of 140 miles an hour.
Wow.
And so I've got it to go 192.
My
And we had my buddy Nick up in Sandpoint. He runs Tamarack Air up there, aerospace, and they put
Oh, my
winglets on
goodness.
Citation jets and stuff. And so I'm like, all right, let's get out. You pull high. So he's in this bright neon green parachute, and I exit a little bit later in the wingsuit. And he's at 7,000 feet above the ground, and I exit from about 10,000 feet above the ground. And I'm looking for this itty bitty green dot in the sky. And I pretty much put on the afterburners and just rip by him at 150, 160 miles an hour.
Oh,
and the sound that it sounds like a missile firing.
I was
right
going
by.
to say, a jet engine plane going past you. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Wow.
so full circle, I mean, I love flying, and it's taught me a ton about what I think the birds are thinking. Whether a bird's learning to fly for the first time and their wings had previously been clipped. I've been there. I've jumped out of a hot air balloon with itty bitty wings as you start with like a little wingsuit and you work your way up to bigger wingsuits, which have more range. You can fly instead of a half mile, you can go 3 or 4 miles.
Oh, wow.
Depending on the suit and the different characteristics. And so balloon jumps are probably my favorite. And recently I got to do 9 mornings in a row jumping out of a hot air balloon. We took it up to 10 to 12,000 feet above the ground.
Wow.
But it was for a project with First Form, which is an athletic company, where I wanted to fly with a peregrine falcon.
Oh, wow.
So I called my buddy who's got a peregrine falcon. I was like, hey, do you think your bird will fly with me? And he's like, well, let's try.
Oh, my God.
So jump 7, I would jump, and I had a camera guy with me. If you wonder why I'm saying we, I would jump, and then I'd flip to my back, and I'd watch the peregrine. And I had a GPS on me, a GPS on the camera guy, a GPS on this lure. So I had a bait, basically. It wasn't a live bait, so just to clarify for everyone, bait on a string for the falcon. And I'd fly my back and try to watch her come down. She'd dive down. She turned like this teardrop and just 100. She hit 192 as well. So, but they can do.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they can do 242 miles per hour as a record. And we had plans of like maybe eventually beating the speed record for the peregrines because now we have the system figured out.
Cool.
But on jump 7, I'm doing 140 miles an hour forward, and I look off my right wing, and about 15 yards away is Scarlett was her name, and she's looking at me, not even flapping, not even in second gear, and I have the suit fully like pressurized, inflated, stretched out, and I'm trying to keep like a predictable, like if I dove it, I can go faster, but I'm like at a very efficient flat speed. She's not even trying, and she's just keeping up with me.
That's unbelievable.
It was the
You
coolest
basically
experience.
raced a falcon.
Oh, I lost.
In the
I
air.
lost. There's
Not many
no
people can
comparison.
say that.
Not many, probably.
No,
At all,
it was,
honestly.
It was the world's first. Yeah, nobody had done it. And so it was,
Amazing.
but it was cool to get to have this project, and the scope of it. Like, we think about like dog training or even in the circus world, like the animals are on a flat plane, but you add 10 to 12,000 feet of elevation, and then the balloon's moving with the wind. So we would take off and we'd land 30 miles away. And so this falcon had to stay with us, and it was, the whole thing was just amazing. It's actually, if you go on YouTube and you search "Flying with Falcons," we have flyingwithfalcons.com. We'll forward to that YouTube video as well, and you can see the whole journey. It's really
I'll provide that
amazing.
link for sure.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Well, and that's where you get the Thrillusionist, right? Like that's your handle.
Yeah, it's how I stay sane. If I'm not doing shows, I'm jumping out of planes or, or balloons, preferably, or helicopter. The helicopter thing, I've only done 6 wingsuit jumps from a helicopter now, but that's I tried in the negotiation here. I was like, all right, guys, I'm good, but the one thing is, Gary's got to let me jump out of his helicopter. And the whole table's like, he just sold it. I'm like, fine, no deal.
It looks like Gary needs to go buy a new helicopter.
Yeah, seriously.
Honestly.
That's amazing.
David, we're just so happy to have you
I'm stoked
here
to
for
be
the
here.
rest of the season, and for any of the audience who has not been out yet to see the Thrillusionist and Confusium and Parrot FX. You've got a treat waiting for you
Absolutely.
here at the Theater of Illusion.
Get
at
there early.
Silverwood. Oh gosh,
Get there early.
for
The
sure.
shows-
Every show has been.
They've all been packed. In fact,
Yeah.
I was telling my mom this morning, I was like, if I could sustain it, I would do 4 shows a day, and they would I think it would still be full.
Oh, I
like,
think it would too.
I can't sustain it, so
For sure.
it's not happening. But but next year maybe. No.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been amazing, and yeah, the 3 o'clock always fills up. The 5 o'clock fills up earlier, and the 7 o'clock, like people are there an hour early.
Yeah.
So, and I
Which
will
is
say
a great
too,
inside tip.
on most shows, we do a meet and greet after the first and second show. By the third show, after you see the show, you'll know like I'm pretty tired after it.
Yeah.
It's full on like 35 minutes of intense, really intense, but it's super fun. So
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So get out here.
Yeah, definitely
see
come out.
it.
Don't miss it.
Yeah, don't miss it. And what do you say? We wrap that up.
Yep.
Icy is asleep on my lap right
I know,
now.
I see
So
that.
I don't really want to disturb her. But hey, if you want to come check it out, if you want to ask any questions for David DaVinci, just write us at podcast@silverwoodthemepark.com. Don't forget to become our next loyal listener. We could be calling you next at Silverwood Theme Park /podcast. And we'll see y'all next time. And that's a wrap on this week's ride. Thanks for tuning in to The Silverwood Show. If you had a blast, make sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share the fun with your fellow thrill seekers. Got a question, story, or suggestion? Send it our way to podcast@silverwoodthemepark.com for a chance to be featured in our Mail Train segment. Until next time, keep your hands and feet inside the podcast and stay thrilling.
Let's go again!
Silverwood, come join the fun. How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2, collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3, play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4, unleash your excitement.
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Connect to the world with the special Turkish Airlines fares. Book your flight before August 10th and take the advantage of great deals. Fly to the most exciting destinations with the award-winning airline that flies to more countries than any other. Terms and conditions apply. For more details, visit TurkishAirlines.com. Turkish Airlines. Widen your world.